Listen. Short story long.
Welcome.
It could take your whole life.
Preach.
Develop clarity.
Second, patience.
If it scared you, you should probably do it.
Whatever you think you don't have, you have something else in its place.
Listen. Short story long.
Go, Woody, go.
Preach.
Listen.
Welcome.
What was your first, like, where was the first setup? Like, was it just in some, like, little back alley? You're like,
No,
hey, let's do the pod.
I wish. It was my version of that. Because I already had this office, so it was in my actual office.
Like, I'm saying you didn't have the cacti and
No,
stuff
I didn't have
before.
nothing.
No, you
No
didn't. You didn't
camera.
have, like, no cameras, no,
No.
like, cool set, no, like, furry rugs and stuff.
No, none of that.
Okay, God,
This is major
this
upgrade.
is, right,
time.
I like it.
Are we recording? Yeah. Perfect intro.
gosh, hello.
Guys, we're here with CJ. What's up, CJ?
Hello, hi.
So this is a really
G'day.
unique podcast because CJ just reached out to me probably 2 days ago and said, hey, I love the pod.
Yeah.
I think you'd love my story.
Well, I never said that. Well,
Kinda.
Okay, yeah. I was like, look, no.
Not in an arrogant
Okay,
way.
yeah.
Not in an arrogant way. You said, I love the pod. I would love to come share my story.
Yes.
If there's any way we can make that happen, I just happen to be in town.
Yeah.
I looked up your stuff and I was like, yeah, this would be amazing.
Okay.
So we responded.
Yeah.
You said, how about tomorrow? Here we are.
I'm so amazed that it runs so quickly. Like, I thought
Yeah.
someone would read an email 3 weeks later and get sent down to someone else. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to be
but
honest.
It's very impressive.
If you had a bad story, that's what would have happened.
Okay, sure. All right. And then it would have got lost in the
Yeah, you had
lost
a good.
in the chain.
The email
Okay.
was good, and
Ah,
so
all
it
right.
didn't get lost in the chain. It got sent straight to me. I read it. I said, "Yeah, let's try it." And then you said tomorrow.
Well, I'm really glad because, like, I don't email that often. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that there's people who are smarter, can concoct sentences
Yeah.
a bit better. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to live.
Yeah. Whew.
Less email, the better.
But I feel like if I sold myself on the email, like, I could have a career in emailing. This is
Yeah,
good.
if you chose the right ones,
Yeah,
and you
okay.
sold it well,
Yeah.
I mean, it worked perfectly.
Okay.
here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course.
This
Thank you
is
for coming.
Yeah, I am just such a, like, I've listened for years, which is, I'd say, well, maybe not since like day one, but I've gone back to listen to all of them.
Yeah.
I'd say for the last year or two, and it's so fascinating. You've gotten so good at this, and it's, I can't believe, this is really awesome. Though.
Thank you. And you even complimented me on my first episodes, which
Yeah.
I said were complete shit.
I think they weren't shit, you're just better now. They were good, but
Thank
you're
you.
really good now. Yeah.
Okay, enough about me. Let's
Okay,
talk about
yep.
you. So when you sent me this email, I just want to give
Uh-huh.
a little bit to my listeners of like my experience. So you sent me this email with a little bit of your story in there, some articles, and then your work. You're an artist.
Yeah.
You make this incredible art, which I'll let us get to there, but sells for an amazing price.
Sure.
You do these amazing installations
Yep.
that are very creative.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think the biggest thing that got me was like your sort of attitude about it. Like you don't think you're that creative. It feels to me like this kind of came up, just came up in your life. It's not like you were this lifelong, like I'm going to be the world's biggest artist. and now you're living the dream. The other thing that I like is this was started. You sold your first piece of art on Instagram.
Yeah, completely on Instagram, which
is amazing.
I also have a lot of reservations about. Like,
Yeah.
the Instagram application is a lot of the things now, but back 7 years ago, it was a bit of fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
How
Anyway,
much
so
time do you spend on Instagram now?
Not much.
Yeah.
I don't do much on Instagram now. It's just
dangerous.
a different. It's not dangerous. It's just not a great place to. Like, I've been very fortunate to do bigger things now.
Yeah.
It's not all about Instagram. But yeah, that's essentially what happened. I emailed. I'm just a fan of the podcast, and this is just awesome that I'm here, and I do art from time to time.
This is amazing. So there's so much of the story that I
Yeah,
like. I
okay.
like the fact that like what I'm all about, and we talked a little bit about it,
Yeah.
is like telling stories. Like I just told you, like I started this podcast to tell these type of stories and to tell stories of successful people, how they did it, how they really did it,
Yeah,
right? Not
yeah.
some soundbite you're going to hear in an article.
Yeah.
How they really did it, how it really happened, and how someone like you can now I mean, you have an amazing life, right? You've created this amazing life for yourself.
Yes.
And I want to know how. So,
Okay.
you know what I do here. The first thing I always do is go all the way back to the very beginning. Where are you from? I can tell it's not America. What was your childhood
Okay.
like? What were you into?
Okay.
Early passions. Paint the picture.
So
No pun intended.
I'm from Australia, if you didn't pick that up early, like pretty hardcore Australian.
Yep.
From a little town called Brisbane. So it's like you've got your New York, LAs of like America, and then think of like a small town, like where you're from in America. That's like where I'm from in Australia.
Got it.
So this like little old place. I was a good kid. Went to school. Did
Brothers
okay.
and sisters?
Yeah, little sister.
Okay.
Like we're 3 years apart.
Okay.
Went to school. Did okay at school. But this is the thing that I come back to, which I never fully appreciated at the time. I was a professional swimmer. So like I swam for Australia when I was younger. I missed out on the Olympic team in 2000, and then I missed out again in 2004, and I was like, fuck this. Not another 4 years. Like it's a hard slog. Like swimming professionally is a really fascinating thing. I don't imagine it's anything like skateboarding, like yourself.
Okay.
But it's you're very much on a solo journey. You're up and down the black line a lot.
Yeah.
Swimming, like training before school, after school, racing, traveling internationally.
Yeah.
So that took up a lot of my childhood. So
Yeah.
I didn't have, like I wasn't at the parties, the house parties,
Yeah.
like, doing like, smooching to boys. Like, I had a really unusual young
It's so
childhood.
interesting how like important that is. Like I hope
It
that
is.
one day when I have kids, I just hope they find like some sort of passion, even if it doesn't become their life work,
Yeah.
that keeps them out of smooching the boys.
Smooching to boys.
You know what I mean? Because like I dodged so much trouble when I was young, just because
Were
I
you
was
smooching to girls?
I wasn't really smooching
No,
the girls.
you weren't. Okay.
Because I was so busy skateboarding every day, all day. That's all I cared about.
Wow,
Like I didn't even.
okay.
Girls were like a distraction. Partying,
yeah,
waking up
yeah.
hungover.
Yeah.
Was all a distraction. So with swimming, like
Mm-hmm.
not to discount any of the rest of the process, but is
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like the Olympics is like obviously the pinnacle, and you're just
Yeah.
hoping every 4 years.
So that was my whole life. Like I went to school and I did pretty well at school, but like my whole focus was swimming. So I was like, I'm just going to be a swimmer. I had nothing else that was really going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I think the decision to give up swimming was like devastating. Easy to talk about now, but at the time it's like you're giving up everything and you're just going to become a regular kid.
Yeah.
And that was really hard. Like
How old were you when that
I
happened?
think like 17. You know
And
what
that
I
was
mean?
because the Olympics, you didn't make the Olympics, and you were like, it's another 4 years or
Yeah.
else I give up.
And plus, do you know what? I was good, but I wasn't great.
Yeah.
Like I had friends that I used to swim with who were very naturally talented. I wasn't naturally talented. I just trained really hard.
Yeah.
So I was a really good worker, but like didn't have a naturally gifted swimming bone. Whereas some of my girlfriends and guy friends who went on to Olympia and do all these wonderful things were naturally talented and just. If you work hard a little, if you combine a little bit, they really were a force. But
Yeah.
I never had that natural ability. So you can only take the grind so far
Yeah.
with the swimming thing. So
And what did you talk to your parents about it? Like, what was the general conversation? Because it has to be so hard at 17 to bail out on your whole identity.
I went thinking back, like I don't take much time thinking on like, oh, this is what happened in the past. I guess nowadays, when you kind of have small levels of success, people are like, oh, I wonder what it was back then. And so I kind of give 2 seconds of thought to it. I'm like, I owe a lot of my success now to like what I learned back then.
Yeah.
I think giving up swimming was like just a thing that happened, but I was young. Do you know what I mean? Like 17, I was like just about finished school. I could go on and do other things. I was like, cool, I'll do the university thing. That seems like a good way to go. I don't know. Just I didn't think too much about it. It was just like, this is not for me anymore.
That's
Let's go on
good.
to the next thing.
That's good because I feel like that's a very common problem. I mean, you've heard
Yeah.
me probably talk about it on
Yeah.
here before, but like
Yeah.
a lot of that early passion can be a gift and a curse.
I agree.
Because when you have to let it go, it's like becoming a normal human again.
Yeah,
is
it's like
very
really hard. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm great though.
Yeah.
And then you have to like do the normal things. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
didn't feel good. But anyway,
So what's the goal then when you go to college? What did you study? What was your what's your new dream?
So I went to a school where a lot of the discussion we had early on was like, there was not really a conversation around doing creative things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like, oh, you could be a musician, an actor, great. Go do these things. It was like, oh no, law. You could be a doctor. Like, so I was like, oh, I need to do something that smart people do. Because like being an artist, that wasn't a discussion. I could draw, but like I didn't know how to make that a career. So I went into architecture and I sucked.
Really?
Did 2 years of architecture and I sucked.
Because
Yeah.
you think like maybe your drawing ability would like translate?
No, but I was like, well, how you can't make money as an artist? Fuck that. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I was
yeah.
like, and plus, I come from an old school family, like not old school family, but with okay, how to explain this? I'm South African. My
Mm-hmm.
parents. Do you know any South African families?
Not
someone,
like the culture,
someone listening
no.
will know a South African family.
Okay.
Just like think old school, like they just think differently, and it's like very much like moral, like
Yeah.
work hard, do your thing, like oh, you know, like gosh, you can't drop out of university, like what are you going to do with your life? Like that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, dropping out of architecture was like what, and then I went and enrolled in finance. What? Like what's that all? I'm like because I was like, oh, architecture I'm not good at. Let me try the money thing.
Yeah.
You know, let me try finance.
Yeah.
And I was just like wasn't good at it. You know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just that. I think it was at an age where I was like learning, like not learning, but discovering work. And like I was just working in a bar, like and working as a waitress. So nothing too extraordinary, but I enjoyed having the financial freedom to do things.
Yep.
You know, so hence I didn't really attend university.
Yeah.
I was enrolled but didn't attend.
Yeah.
And I was just a fucking useless student. Useless. Like
So that's because you became more like just interested in like, oh shit, well I can just go
I
work
can
here
make
and
the
actually
money.
make money.
Yeah. But it was useless money. It was like $18 an hour money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's useless, but like, you know what I mean? Why would you not go to university for 18 an hour? I was
Yeah.
like, yes, I'm making money. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty useless.
So then what ended up happening? Did you drop out of college altogether?
Yeah, I did. Well, but just before I got kicked out, because I was that bad. You know what I mean?
For attendance or what?
To just a whole bunch of different things.
Why don't we name it? Why don't we talk about a few of them?
No, I mean, I just wasn't a good student. And I think when your overall grade point average, I think that I don't know what they call it here in
That's it.
GPA, they call it. I think my overall GPA was so low that like that's when you get asked to leave. You know what I mean? So I'd failed that many subjects. So like I think this is not for you.
Yeah.
You need to kind of find something else to do in your life. So I kind of just dropped out before that conversation happened.
Got it.
Yeah.
What did your parents say?
I think they were a bit embarrassed. I don't know. Maybe I need to ask them, but it just wasn't how I was brought up. You know what I mean? They're super hardworking, really humble people who just have worked their ass off. And for this kind of flippant kid of theirs to be like, oh, I'm just dropping out because is just like so not what they wanted us to be. You know, they'd brought us up and given us every opportunity to do something a little bit better.
Did it cause any like issues or not really?
You know, I don't think so.
That's good.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no,
Anyway,
that's
so
good.
yeah, but
That's
dropping
good.
up, there's. Can I go back a little bit?
Please.
Okay.
You know how I do that. Go ahead.
Yeah. But like throughout this time, so dropping out, it sounds like I just dropped out. It's like, no, there was a bit more to it.
Okay.
So I was working at that stage, I was working at a restaurant and I was like sucking at university. And I was like, fuck this. So I went and somehow got a job working in like luxury retail. So I got a job at Chanel, working at Chanel, which was great. Except the only problem was that kind of like really started this like very unhealthy desire and need for like high-end luxury, like fucked up luxury.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, let me get my little Jimmy Choo handbag. It's like, no. Let's go for like the Birkins, the this or that. So like I spent every dollar on things I had no position buying. You know what I mean? Like $1,000 shoe. Like I wasn't at the club wearing it. I just had these beautiful things because I don't know, like I was just obsessed with it. So yeah, it got to a stage like after working in retail and kind of like hating university, I was like, I had this beautiful wardrobe and like working in retail and just like this was my life. I was like, fuck this. I'm surely better than this.
Yeah.
And
What age was that at?
I don't know, maybe 23 or 24.
Gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
And did you have friends? Did you have like fancy friends or like were you the only one like showing up?
No, there were a few. I mean, the friends I used to work with in Chanel, like we were all like fake fancy. Like we weren't fancy people, but we had these like magnificent things.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? It's like I was brought up, Mum and Dad gave us everything but nothing at the same time. Does that make sense? So like they give us everything that they could in terms of opportunity.
Yeah.
And they like worked so hard for that, but like we weren't the kids in like the cool clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so I think my sister and I were always like desperate for those nice things that we couldn't have at school.
Yeah.
You know, so hence this desire for all these like super fancy things, which
sure.
is so silly.
For sure.
So
Can I
what
ask you too, like what was your
Yeah.
sister's like, was your sister just like you? Was she very different? Like how was she, did she go to college? Did she finish?
You know, she did actually. We kind of had opposite paths. So she struggled at school and did really well at university.
Got it.
I did okay at school and just, I don't know, I don't know why I did so badly at uni. I just wasn't that kid. And if I was to, give any advice to anyone, I'm like, oh, we can get into the university things later because I have some thoughts on that.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about it.
I have some thoughts on it now.
time.
But at the time, it was like, I think university is funny because it's like mum and dad were like, if you're at university, you don't need to pay rent at home. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And like, that's the only reason I was at uni.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Well, how do you feel about it? I mean, obviously now you've created this whole world for yourself. Obviously, you've heard me talk about it a million times.
Yeah.
I do think for certain things it's necessary, but I think the way that it doesn't foster people like you.
I think so I don't think we could cut people open at the hospital, like in terms of like brain surgery.
No chance.
Well, maybe you could. I'm so sorry.
No
But like, I'm
way.
just talking on behalf of myself. Like, I don't think I could do that.
No.
You know what I mean? So I think if you're going to be a lawyer, those professional things that require like some real studying, then I think university is without a doubt for you. But if you're a little weird, I think you can learn so much via so many different platforms. You can teach yourself Photoshop on YouTube. You can listen to podcasts and be inspired by people's stories.
Yeah.
You can get your little Etsy account up and sell handmade knickknacks. Like, I don't know. There's so many ways to do things now that like the old guard don't rule as much as they used to.
Yeah.
They still in play, but wait till they die. Yo, we're going to rule.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think the only thing that's like scary about it is people aren't naturally like, especially young people, like very disciplined. And so it's
You
almost
reckon?
like I think that there's a lot of good people that lacked direction, a lot of smart people, a lot of creative people that lacked direction and therefore got lost and we never heard about them. Where I think that the one good thing about...
Oh, are you talking like the Olsen? Like, what do you mean? Like the child actors? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I mean, like, I think there's a lot of great musicians, artists, all of the jobs that don't need college, right? Where it's kind of like you build your own path.
Sure.
That never made anything of themselves, not for talent or skill, but for lack of direction. Like what I think the reason why college is still working is because people want to be told what to do.
Yes.
There's a
great
difference
point.
between being good at what you're asked to do and creating what you do every day.
Yeah.
Right? That's a very big leap.
Yeah, that's a really good way of explaining it.
So I think the scary thing, if I had a kid, for instance, today who was 18 years old, I absolutely encourage them not to go to college, but I'd be a little worried about like, what podcast are you listening to?
Yeah.
Because you can click the same app and you can listen to
There's so much.
how I built this, or you can listen to fart noises. Like, there's literally anything, right?
Is there really that?
I'm sure. But I just mean like,
do you listen? Yeah, okay.
That's kind of my thing. But, or, YouTube, same thing. YouTube can be this great, like it could be college or it could be like people dying. Like there's anything. So
I agree with you on that. Yeah, I think university is a great place for people to kind of chill a bit. Chill for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Because it's like you get that extra 3 years to be like, let me just be with my friends and figure it out. And if you're not consciously thinking during university, like I've got friends who did well at university and they're like, I can't find a job. I'm like, bro,
there's a
really?
lot of that.
Yeah. I don't know. And then they kind of have this like safety net, like university is a safety net. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but it's
gotta
nice.
do
It's a
more.
fake one. You think it is. And the bad thing too is I think it labels a lot of people in their own minds smart or dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True. I agree with that.
Like it's really dangerous for a 22-year-old to enter into the world saying
I didn't.
either of those things, really. Saying I'm really smart or I'm really dumb because of how you did in college does not reflect how you're going to do in life. And I think that's really dangerous.
Yeah. University also is really expensive as well. So
that
it's
too.
like that old chestnut.
What do they do about like student debt and stuff in Australia?
I fucked up the wall, man.
Really?
I've got so much. It's like lots and lots.
So it's the same as here.
Yeah.
And
But
you
like,
can't bankrupt it. You can't do anything.
What do you mean bankrupt?
Like here, you can't even like, if you
if you go
filed for
bankrupt, it's just
bankruptcy-
like, sorry, we'll wipe it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
you
Like
can't do that.
we've lived in New York for 5-6 years and the Australian government's still like, we haven't forgotten. We see you over there and we'll take
man.
your money when you're ready. You know,
That's
like
incredible.
that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So university is expensive and but at the same time, I'm like, I was dicking around at university and like, I'm glad I did in a way. I guess I was glad I did because when you are young and you're like out at dinner with your friends and everyone's at university, it's like you're just part of the crew because you're at uni. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's important.
But it's expensive.
Yeah. It's a jam.
It's an expensive mistake to make.
Yeah.
if you're not like fully sure.
That's why I
the
think that the
thing.
conversation, like it's college is definitely dying, but there isn't a good replacement
No,
yet.
not yet.
There will be, and you could probably create a
sure.
whole curriculum out of YouTube videos and
yeah.
podcasts. And
I'm sure there
Etsy.
is. Yeah.
Okay, so
okay.
then what do you? So you drop out.
Yeah.
Your parents are not happy.
So can I go back 2 ticks? Because I
Please.
find this quite funny. It's funny, but like not funny at the same time.
Okay.
So I had this whole plan. I spoke to some friends who like knew that I could draw, and they were like, "CJ, you have to draw for a living." I was like, "Are you kidding? How could you do that? Like, how am I going to pay for my snacks and my phone bill and
my Birkin
petrol? Yeah,
bags.
like my Birkins. Like, babes, are you kidding? Like, how's this likely?" Anyway, so I don't come from a fancy family, but I had fancy things. I just want people to know that, so they don't get a false idea of me.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? I can't just drop out? Like that's so that's so silly. That's so flippant. I can't do that." So what I did, I was like, "Fuck it. Do you know what I'm going to do?" Because my parents weren't going to help me financially with this art dream. Are you kidding? They laughed me out the door. So I was like, right, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to like bankroll myself. Like, how do I bankroll myself into this like art thing? So I'm like, right, I'm going to give myself 1 year to give it a go. I'm like, I'm going to drop out of university and I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to draw like a motherfucker for 1 year.
Yeah.
So what I did, I sold my entire wardrobe on eBay. The whole shebang, like the shoe, like I was left with white t-shirts and like cut off shorts. That was it. And like sandals, you know, that was me. I was like, damn it, I'm going to do this. So I sold everything on eBay. And this was when eBay was cool. Like I'm sure there's like lots of things now where you can buy and sell the goods.
For sure.
But yeah, eBay was definitely at its prime. So I sold everything on eBay and like made a good little pocket of cash.
Yeah.
So I was able to buy the best quality materials to make art that no one wanted yet. But I was like, fuck it. I'm going to use the best stuff like to start off with.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what was the plan? Like, where do you even sell drawings?
Do you know what? There was no plan. So I'm trying to think back. I'm like, I don't think I had a full-on strategy. These were the stages where like Facebook was pumping.
Yeah.
Right. And like like that was fun times, you know, when you like go onto like albums of your friends who like went on holiday and you're like, oh wow.
Oh yeah.
You know, albums on Facebook. That was a fun time, wasn't it?
Yes.
And so this is when Instagram was kind of like starting to sniff, you know, like it was like, this was years ago, you know? Yeah. And so I was like, oh gosh, let me put up some drawings on Instagram, like halfway finished, quarter way finished and finished. Because I knew people wouldn't believe that they were drawing. So like, oh, that's a photograph. I'm like, no, it's a drawing, you know? So I'm like, I have to show that it is a drawing.
Was that always your, not to interrupt, but was that always your...
The style?
That was your like gift? Was like these super realistic.
Yeah,
Got
and
it.
I suck. Like, and it's not that. That's why I'm like, I'm not that creative because it's not that creative in an art form. We can get into the art thing later if you even want to. I
would
don't
love
give a
to.
fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's not that creative in an art form. It's just very methodical and it's very like draftsmanship. Do you know what I mean? You just sit down, you copy a photograph like all day. So it's like takes a long time to make. So anyway, just posted things on Instagram with no real clue of what I was doing. I was just posting. And I was like, oh, let me do 10 drawings. When 10 drawings are finished, I'll put them into a portfolio and take it to a gallery because that's how you do things, right? You just take it to a gallery.
Sure, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I would do if I started tomorrow.
Exactly, and that's what you should do. No, there's no rights or wrongs, but that's all I did. So I like just posted photos to Instagram, and this was a fun time, like where you could really discover interesting things on Instagram, and it just kind of happened. And I would just draw every day, but I wasn't. Do you know how I think of artists? People who like do all the drugs and do some art from time to time. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm
100%.
not like that's how I see artists, and I know artists who do that. I'm like, oh, whoa, I don't do that at all. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm an artist who like I'm not that creative, but I spend all day like making the work.
Yeah.
You know, like I spend like we work I work 7 days a week, but I love it. It's not like I'm doing spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Like boring stuff. Like I'm like just. I can listen to podcasts, I watch Netflix, and I draw like all day.
Yeah.
So that's all I did for a whole year was just draw and like post to Instagram and like off we go. And then...
So you just start seeing like do you
Just
post
things
one
that-
photo where you're like, oh my God, I got 200 likes.
But like who cares? Like that was never the goal. Like I've never been someone who's fully interested in what people think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, this is just what's going to happen for a year.
But aren't you torn? Like, because this is one thing I deal with. Like, I don't care what people think, but at the same time, it's sort of my business to care what people think, right?
of course. It's the same here. It's
Right?
like,
So don't you battle that? Like you don't care, but yet if you post something that's super successful, you're like, oh yes.
Yeah,
got
of
it.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that happened. But the thing for me, I was like, cool, I just need to pay for snacks. Like, how do I pay for the snacks?
Yeah.
How do I pay for my petrol?
Yeah.
And how do I pay for my phone bill? Literally, those are my three big, and then rent eventually. But I was like, those are my three big focuses in life. Like, I was like, well, how do I pay for that? So, like, very fortunately, someone DM'd on the gram and was like, that's nice, would like to buy it. I'm like, fuck off.
About a drawing?
Yes, about a drawing. I was like, sure. And they came to I was living at home at the time in a little bedroom. And they came to the house and they had a look at it. They're like, yeah, how much? And I was like, this much money. And they said, yes. I was like, oh my gosh, whoa.
Was it like in the thousands?
It was. It was in the thousands. And I went and
Where
bought,
did you come up
a
with that number?
Chanel surfboard.
You did?
Yes.
You're ridiculous.
I know.
You're like, all I want.
I was I sold all my luxury. I'm like, I just need something.
Exactly.
Like, so silly. So
You're like, all I
silly.
want is food and
I know, snacks.
gas. And
with
then you're
the
like,
Chanel, I
well, this
know.
Chanel surfboard's
What an
pretty cool.
idiot. I'm a dickhead.
How did you come up with the number?
You know, what I think is funny, that's always a question people ask, like, how should I price my work? I'm like, it's whatever people are prepared to pay.
Yeah.
I also knew, like, my work takes a long time to make. I've got friends where their work is a little bit quicker and a little bit kind of more gestural, and that's great. But, like, my work genuinely takes weeks to make. And I was like, fuck it. This took me a fuck ton of time.
Yeah.
It's going to be this much money. If I was working per hour, I was like, it'd be like $20 an hour, but which is not that much an hour, but a lot in the overall scheme of things.
Did he know that he pulled up to your parents' house?
Oh, 100%. That was not a this is not a young kid's house, yo. Like,
I just love like you walking down out of your bedroom and like, it will be this much. And
yeah,
like, all right, cool.
They knew. They were probably just like, he, this idiot. Okay, we'll give you monies. But no, they knew this was my parents' house, like 100%.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm pretty
so
sure my mum was like, did you want some tea? Or like shouting from some balcony. I was like, oh, honey. I don't remember how it went down, but it was definitely not my house.
yeah.
Yeah.
So did you, I know you celebrated by buying a Chanel surfboard, but like, did you feel like this is it? Glad I didn't go to college. I'm an artist.
No.
This is real.
No, because I'd only given myself a year. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I still wasn't like, well, how do you continue to grow this thing? I was like, oh, I'll just keep continuing to post to the Instagram. Do you know what I mean? I was like, great. I always say the in front of everything, like the Instagram, like the snacks. Anyway, so I'll stop now. But yeah, so I just like posted things and things just happen. And that was a really fun time for social media. And it's very different now. And I hardly do much on Instagram, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not above it. I'm not better than it. It just doesn't have the same excitement as it once used to. And people are still like, you see it on Instagram. I'm like, dudes, just chill.
Yeah.
Like, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Nothing's that exciting on there anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People are thirsty for stuff there now.
It just
a weird
became
place,
a part
isn't
of
it?
like it became our new TV.
Yeah.
Like it's back then it was like this
undiscovered
thing,
little fun. Yeah, it was
and people
really
were getting
great.
discovered, and like they were this next generation of like all these big influencers were created during that time.
Yeah,
whatever. Now it's like literally everyone's just on it all day long as like a source of news and catching up with their friends, whatever. So, did you?
I'm
then
sure.
yeah,
I know. I'm sure I brushed over some things, but I'm trying to think back. I'm like, I don't. Do you know what? Okay. Do you know what? I didn't take it like a joke. I wasn't like, oh, because you think of Instagram, it's like quite a fun thing.
Yeah.
And like you see all the Instagram gals slipping a tit out, like
of course.
there's all that.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't interested in, I was just showing my work. It wasn't about me. A lot of people still think I'm a boy, just to fly. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, CJ, he does great work. I'm like,
because you don't post yourself a lot? Is that why?
Not really. So people are just discovering, they're like, oh, what? I'm like,
hi.
True.
Yeah.
What's up? I'm like, it's a girl.
Yeah.
So there's that side of it. But I think more than anything, someone said to me ages ago, actually, I don't know if this makes any sense to anything, but he said, good stuff will always rise to the top. So it's like there's lots of artists on Instagram. Everyone like knows of a friend who has an Instagram who's an artist. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like it's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's like if you just make great work, surely something will come from that. And I do genuinely think my works are good. I hope.
Well,
I think they're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I make these drawings that look like photographs and people are still like, but it's not, it's a photograph. I'm like, I can assure you it's a drawing, but we can discuss this all day long. We can fight about it, but it's a drawing. Yeah. So I think people were just gobsmacked. And I think also it's really easy to showcase hyperrealism and the work that I make on Instagram because it's a very visual thing to see. You know, people are like, wow, it's a photo. No, it's a drawing. You know, it's really easy to share it and show it to friends. Whereas like showing more weird stuff of art is like a little bit more confusing. People are like, oh, cool swish.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I could have done that. You know, whereas the work that I make, people can't do and they're just gobsmacked by that. Like the technical side of it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So then how did you go from like selling one piece on Instagram to starting to build a business and know that you wouldn't have to go get a job? And like, was that all from
That's a great
Instagram transactions or
Yes.
how did that transition happen?
It was a little bit through Instagram transactions and things just progressing and things selling. Like everything I draw would sell, which I'm so grateful for. I'm not sitting here being like, yeah, it all sold. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, it's not normal. And so things just sold. But also let's not forget, like I went to university for finance. Like I get business. I love business. And I think I'm better at business than I am art. I'm a hopeless artist. Like I'm an okay artist, but I think really good at strategy and business. And I love that.
Yeah.
And I think art is just the product. It's like the byproduct of business.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of artists who are very good artists, but maybe don't have that business side.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Big time.
Yeah. So I really enjoy the business. I enjoy the strategy. And the art world is a very fascinating place. It's like, think like Wolf of Wall Street, circa 1980, 1990. That's what the art world is now.
Yeah.
There's no rules. No regulations, no governing body, no one's saying you can't or you can. It's just like the Wild West.
Yeah.
So much money is made and lost every day in the art world. It's frightening.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm part of that, kind of. But also I don't have a gallery either, which is also a weird thing. People are like, but how do you do it without a gallery? I'm like, I won't even get into that. But I don't have a gallery. So there's no one like helping me sell my work. It's like now I've got like an in-house team and we do all that, like all in-house, which is really interesting.
So take me to that process.
okay.
Like, so you're selling more and more pieces on Instagram. You're like, okay, endless Chanel surfboards.
No, not endless. Well, pump the brakes, yo.
Like, back to the Birkins.
Okay.
I don't need a job anymore.
Yeah.
Screw you, parents. I'm moving out.
Okay, yeah.
When did you move out? Like there was a time when you moved out just off of selling art.
Can
That
I
had
just
to be
say,
huge.
the first time I moved out, I moved to New York.
Was
Jeez, right?
that art driven?
Yeah, because I won't get into too much artwork because people are like, oh, boring. But like in a nutshell, the art world in Australia is like a really interesting little place. There's some epic, talented, brilliant artists in Australia, but I'll say it outright, like they'll never make it big because Australia's like, they just have a different kind of market there and they don't celebrate like too much internationally. You know what I mean? Whereas I'd always been fascinated by the big boys in the art world and all boys and men as well. Like I don't look at too many female artists. There's not enough good ones, but like all the boys were so good at it. I was like, fuck yeah, I want to be there. So it's like, fuck it. And so we moved to New York and like rented this like ridiculous apartment and like I worked in the apartment and like lived there and like just worked. I just work all the time. I don't do much else. Like all my friends, the few friends that I do have are just like, we don't see CJ much. Like she's always working, but I love it. So anyway, moved out. The first time I moved out was when I moved to New York. Gee, I'm trying to remember more of the things that happened.
I mean, that just had to feel like, tell me the feeling. That had to feel like.
But I don't really celebrate highs and lows. Like I'm quite an even-keeled little kid.
Yeah.
I'm not a little kid. I'm like older now, but like I'm like just an even-keeled cat. Like, you know what I mean? I don't celebrate much. I don't get down on stuff because so much of like running this art practice and business is so much of it's like dealing with the problems. I'm sure you know. So like most of the time we're dealing with like all the things. So like, and most of them are like shit things. You know what I mean? Like FedEx loses an artwork. What? How can they just lose a very expensive? They just lose it. They're like, we lost it. I'm like, excuse me. Like, you know, so most of the time we're dealing with things. And so I don't really celebrate many things. I don't really get down about things. It's just like life, you know?
That's so
It was
interesting.
cool. We just rolled to New York. It was nice. It's a nice place.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Okay, so then how about this? Then when you go to New York, how do you become like,
how do you become an artist?
well, how do you go from, because this is a real question that couldn't tell anyone if they asked me. How do you go from selling art off of Instagram to moving to New York and becoming like a very legitimate artist selling. I mean, I read in the article some of your art sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I saw that you do these massive installations.
Yep.
How do you have to go find like help? Like, do you find a manager? How do you market it? How do you let people even know? How do you create a price? How do you sell something for $200,000? How does that all happen?
You know, that there's so much in that question, and how do I answer that in the best way?
You have 1 hour to
Yeah,
answer.
go. Oh, woo! I don't like. That's a great question. So I guess for kids listening who are like, I can make art. I'm like, cool. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I think beyond anything, so like people can get swept up with all the other things, like the money and the this and that, which is all cute. But I think before that, the work needs to be great. It needs to be technically good. Even in the art world, you don't even need to be that good at it. You know what I mean? Like it needs to say something to someone. They need, I guess, a little bit of hype around it. And I'm not a cool person, so I don't know how that happens. But anyway, it's like there needs to be a certain level of excitement. I hate the word hype, but like excitement around your work. I don't know. I did 2 shows in Australia before I left. I did one in Sydney and then one in Melbourne with my manager at the time. We don't work together anymore, but at the time, and he kind of helped me sell the work.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from him. And then when I moved to New York, I kind of went out on my own. And and now I have people who help me sell my work.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty much generated via Instagram. You know what I mean? Like people still find out about the work through there. Now there's like articles and installations and a lot of other ways to find out about my art. But I don't know. I wouldn't say Instagram's the only place to kind of show your work now. Like if you make clothes or if you design sneakers or whatever it is that you do, I'm sure there's other ways to show that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
we have like
know.
trade shows and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I guess I'm just like,
Oh,
did
I'm
you
not
then
answering the question. I
No.
don't know how to answer it.
No, it's not. You're answering it
Okay.
by doing what you're doing. I'm just
There's
trying
a
to.
lot that I can't divulge too much. Like
Yeah.
maybe I can.
I get it. The art world.
Yeah, it's like this cloudy little.
Yeah.
It's Wolf of Wall Street. There's like lots of shady things.
Yeah,
no, I'm
lots.
not a shady person. Whoa,
Yeah.
back it up.
You gotta watch out
Yeah,
for the shady people.
Yeah, you do. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of.
But do you come
sharks.
like? Did you come to New York and do a big show?
Yeah, I had a show. I
And
had a
say
show.
like,
It
hey, I'm
wasn't-
here now.
Do you know what? It wasn't that big then. It was like just the drawings on the wall, and people came. Lots of people came. But I think there was a stage, and I can't explain where the change happened, where shit went from crazy to fuck off crazy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how that happened. I think it happened. I decided to do a show. Like for me, my drawings are good. Don't get me wrong. They're cute. I work really hard at them. I spend a long time making them. But I got to a stage where I wasn't that impressed by them anymore. Like, I know that's weird to be like, yeah, my art's all right. But like genuinely, I'm like, anyone can draw, boring. So I was like, fuck it. Let's show the work, not in a white wall gallery. When like I don't go to many galleries because like, that's some boring shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like why would I leave my studio to go and look at people's art just on the wall? That doesn't interest me whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. I'm like, so this is maybe 2 years ago. I was like, fuck it. Why don't I do a show and like we'll build a house inside a warehouse and like make all the rooms different colors around like the colors of the drawings. I was like, fuck it. It's like my little crew and I were like, yeah, we're going to build a house. Like all the furniture was like all pink in the pink room. Like, and then in the office, which was orange, like everything was orange. And I was like, yes, this is the concept for the show. And it was around like Pantone color chips. And and so we built this giant installation. And I had no idea, like thousands of people would come. Because I said to my sister, and I was like, babes, you'll be able to catch up on all your emails. Like there'll be 3 people through the whole day. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Whew. Next minute, like thousands of people. I was like, where did everyone come from? Like, what happened? And it's not like I had more of a following then.
Yeah.
I've always had quite a substantial following for some like who knows what reason. Yeah. And so many people came. I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
And then the show that was earlier this year in New York, I was like, fuck it. Let's build a bouncing castle.
Yeah.
There's more thought into it. Like I'm not just like, fuck
I know.
it,
Tell
let's
me
do
that
this.
because that was
Okay.
cool. Tell me what the bouncy castle was.
So the whole show, God, I don't want to get into the
No, you
concept
got
of-
to.
Okay, got it.
You have. This is one thing you have to understand.
Yeah.
By hitting us up and agreeing
know.
to do a podcast.
Yes.
You have to brag a little.
Sure.
And you don't have to be arrogant.
Yeah, I
but you
struggle with
gotta,
that.
I know. I
It's
can
an
tell.
Australian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's that humble, hardworking.
No, it's not. It's tall poppy syndrome.
It's
in
called
Australia,
what? Poppy syndrome?
tall poppy syndrome.
Because
So
a
in
tall
Australia,
poppy
it's like
gets...
if you're a tall, cut
Yep.
down, boom,
Got it. Okay,
die.
well, listen.
Anyway,
This is time to
okay.
be a tall poppy.
Sure.
So what was the bouncy house?
Okay.
What did it signify?
Okay. So I did a series of drawings around a Rorschach test. So if you don't know what a Rorschach test is, like it used to be big, like maybe 10 or 15 years ago for like psychological testing. It was like a ink blot drawing. They like squish it and like different people see different things in the ink blot. And so I just like fucked with it a bit because I always fuck with things a bit. I don't just like draw the thing. I was like, So I'd like mixed kids squish paintings with Rorschach tests. So it was like a squish paint and I drew the squish paintings. And so like part of the show was like psychological. So I was like, how do I create a psych ward? Like with padded walls. I was like, I want to create a padded wall psych ward.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let's build a bouncing castle because like padded, bouncy, white. So I was like, I called a company in LA. Like I called so many people for so many days. I was like, can you create a custom bouncing castle? It has to be all white. I need padded walls. It needs to be this big. Can you do it in 2 months? And most of the people were like, no. And this one guy was like, yeah, I think we can do it. I was like, you're my man. You're on. Like, I need you. So yeah, we've built this bouncing castle. It's a 3,000 square foot bouncing castle. And people like bopped along to get to the art.
So you were like...
It's the whole concept links. It's not just a bouncing castle with art. It's like, there's a link. If you want to look into it, look into it. If you don't, I don't give a fuck. But like, there's a reason there was a bouncing castle. But yeah.
Because it was a psych ward.
Yeah, exactly.
But was there like a deeper...
Yeah, so it's
to
like
it?
Rorschach tests are like psychological tests, like hence the psych ward. And also kids squish paintings are like, you need to see that. Kids squish paintings and like a bouncing castle. So there's that
the double
child, like,
collab.
there's that, So that's it. And the reason I'm even in LA, we're looking for a warehouse for the next show, which will be in LA.
That's amazing.
In February of next year. So
I'll be
yeah,
there.
and awesome, thank you.
Yes.
I know what the concept is. You don't know what it is. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but we're looking for, so if anyone's listening, we're looking for a real big space, at least 40-foot high ceilings.
How many square feet?
At least 6 to 10, preferably 20,000.
And anywhere in the LA area?
Yeah, probably like arts. Apparently I've been told like art, like downtown arts districts. It's like,
there's a lot of
that's
warehouses.
where the warehouses are. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're looking for. So
good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you're preparing for a show, what do you... Like, do you try to have one, once again, I'm going to sound really stupid here.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Do you try to have one theme where the art matches the whole show?
Yeah, I do.
And where would you say you pull the idea for that from? Is it like what's going on in the world, current issues? Because there's a lot of talk about mental health. Like, were you inspired by all of this? Or is it just what comes out of you?
It's a good, so... You know what's funny? Like I'm like didn't come from the art world. I didn't study art or history, and like hence why I don't really call myself an artist. I'm just like a kid who makes drawings from time to time. Like I bop around in the creative sphere. You know what I mean? But
I'm gonna put that in your intro.
Yeah, sure.
Kid who bops around and makes art from time to time.
Eats the snacks.
And eats the snacks.
Yeah,
and
like
loves Chanel.
100%. We've moved on to other things now, but anyway, so. What was the question? So yes, I like to create a show around like an all-encompassing concept, but there's so many ways to make art. So like I'm sure there's kids listening who love art and like follow different artists, and like all the power to you. There's some brilliantly talented people out there.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to talk about the work you want to make, and there's a lot of artists who do really political work, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm smart enough to like do the political art because like I don't fully know what I'm talking about. I'm sure I'd fuck it up and people are like, well, actually that didn't happen. I'm like, oh, well, that's fucked. So like, I guess for me in the early days when I was drawing, I would draw luxury things. I would draw like sneakers. Like for example, and I always like fuck with stuff a bit.
Yeah.
It's like I went into like Fight Club, like this white girl walked into Fight Club. I was like, I want the mags. And they're like, we don't just take those out. I'm like, I'm here to buy them, motherfucker. Take them out for me. And so I bought mags and then like destroyed them and dipped them in paint. And then I drew that. You know what I mean? It's like I used to draw the things I loved, and like I fuck with stuff. And so I'd always draw like luxury stuff initially. And now I've like moved on from, because that's what I loved at the time. And now I'm like not as obsessed with like the things like I once was.
Yeah.
So I draw other things.
What do you draw more of now?
Lots of different things now, but I'm not going to go too much into it because it dictates the whole show for
Got
next
it.
year. So
Got it.
yeah, it's nothing
Was your
to do with,
last okay? So psych
Yeah.
ward was inkblot test.
yeah.
So you just would say that as you sort of grow and evolve and find new interests, your art
Yes.
follows that.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? It's funny because when I listened to your podcast for so long, I don't think I've ever listened to an artist on the podcast. There's
Shelby and
people
Sandy
who-
a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was like episode 6 or something. That might be it. Is that it, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Shelby
Yeah,
and Sandy.
but like art is like a funny thing to have someone on the podcast for because most of the time people talk about the art, but like I can talk about the art for sure, but it's hard without like a visual. You know what I mean? Go,
But people are going to go
folks,
look
go
it
and have
up.
a squiz if
Everyone's
you want.
gonna
Suss it.
Instagram
Go
it.
suss it.
Yeah.
Go gram it. I don't do much on the gram, so I'm sorry to disappoint there.
Well, they're going to find it.
Yeah, okay, I'm sure they will. But yeah, it's like there's this other whole business side to my art practice, which people often don't talk about. And I'm not saying I want to. If you want to, we can.
But that's
yeah,
what
it's
I
like
want to.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about it. You have to tell me where I'm entering into the part you can't talk about.
Oh, I can talk about. Okay, huh?
Okay.
I don't
How
know
about
what.
this?
I don't, you
I'll
can't
ask
go.
questions. You say
Sure.
no comment.
Of course. Okay.
So the question is like, how do you? If I'm an artist,
Yes.
and I'm really, really talented,
yes.
objectively,
Yeah, that's a great way.
but nobody. I don't have representation. I don't have anything. The very first, once again, very broad, sort of borderline stupid question is the game? Would you say I have to create some excitement. I have to create either a topic that people are going to latch onto, something like dipping the air mags
Yeah.
in the paint.
Yeah.
Like, is it you have to first generate the marketing before you start worrying about the product? Because I will say, I think that applies. A lot of people ask me, how do I start a clothing
Yeah.
brand? How do I
Yeah.
get the money? And I always say, build the brand before you buy the product, right? Like buy samples, put them on
Yep.
your friends, make it
Yes.
cool, build a
Yep.
following,
Yep.
then buy the product and sell it so you're not sitting with all the stress of having a warehouse full of t-shirts.
It's a great way of explaining it.
Would you say that should be my approach, or should I start selling paintings for $500 and just
You
at
know,
least sell it that way?
I don't know how. So, okay, this is how I've done it, and people can try, and it might work for them, and it might not. I'll just say how I've done it. If you work with a gallery, there's different types of galleries out there. There's big boy galleries, like the fuck off galleries,
Yeah.
where things sell for hundreds of millions of dollars, and then there's galleries like Lower East Side, and I'm sure there's some in LA where like works might sell for a couple of hundred or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
My works kind of are in. They're not at that. You know what I mean? It's a different, but it's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that didn't just happen overnight. Like it wasn't like year one, I was like, boom, this much. Like that doesn't happen, but it's taken years of, I think people now trust my brand, you could say, as an artist. They know that like I'm not just a one-hit wonder. Like I've been here for a while.
Yeah.
Like this is, I think, 7 years I've been doing this professionally. You know what I mean? So maybe they invest in my work. They invest in me. There's like Kanye owns a piece. Pharrell owns a piece. A plethora of other people own pieces who don't always want to be named. You know what I mean? So there's really interesting people who have my work just like up. I don't even know where they are, but they're around, I guess.
Yeah.
So how would you start? I think you've just got to make good work. What I see happen a lot on Instagram, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
I see a lot of kids just trying to get to the money side and that they want that without doing the work.
Yeah,
You know what I
of
mean?
course.
Like I think there's no substitute there's no substitute for hard work. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's where sometimes maybe people, I don't know, they want that without
Of course.
that. You know
That's
what I mean? And I'm
everything,
like,
especially
make
Instagram
the work
world.
good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
make the thing good. Like, or if it's not a product, be beautiful to be the model. Like you can't, be really good at acting and then you can be the Leo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, like make the work really good to start. I think that's the only advice I can give.
Got it.
It's like make it great.
So don't even worry too much
Don't
about
worry about what will
your
come.
thing
It's like
is
if
and
it'll
what your-
come, it will. If it won't, it was probably never that good anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't force people into liking your stuff. And I think so often that's what I see. People are so thirsty for the like and the follow. And I'm like, oh, dude, like they'll come along if they like your stuff.
Yeah.
If they don't, forget it. Like keep doing you, keep doing great work. And then like there'll be a group of people who love it. There's I'm sure a lot of people who are like, oh, CJ, that bish, her work sucks. I'm like, yeah, it probably does.
Yeah.
You know, so I think this, you can't force people into liking your shit.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
You just got to kind of like bop along and like with clothes, it's like you can't force people to wear them. They just will.
Yeah.
They connect with it in some way. Fortunately, some people have like connected with like the work that I make.
Yeah.
I'm also a bit of like a whatever. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's an Australian thing, but like I genuinely don't care. I'm like, this is it. This is the price.
Yeah.
This, like, I can't apologize for it. You know, it's
yeah.
just like, it is what it is, and it's what I've built. And yeah.
Yeah. And why don't you do the gallery thing?
So I was always meant to, but then Instagram just happened, you know, and then I just started selling the works and doing the shows, and it hasn't really happened. But I think moving forward, I think I will work with a gallery eventually, but like not right now. But
And a gallery is like you do that because of their clientele and they handle all the transactions and all. Is that why you would do it?
I assume so. Yes, that is why you do it. But I have an in-house team who help do all that. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm my own gallery. But to move forward and grow, I think a partnership with like a gallery is the next progression.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
And what about if you asked the majority of your buyers where they heard about your work?
Oh.
Do you think that it's majority shows, majority
That's
social
a good
media?
question. I don't know. I don't really ask because maybe I don't want to know. Like, you know, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, how did they find out? Maybe it's word of mouth. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's through their kids on Instagram. Because like some of my clientele are a little bit older. I'm like, yeah, well, how the fuck did they find out about me? Because I'm this like anomaly, like this like weird kid, and people are still like taking bets on me. They're like, I don't know if she's going to make it. I'm like, I probably won't. Like, you know what I mean? I'm that kid who's either going to crash and burn so hard or I'm going to make it to the upper echelons. You know what I mean? It's just like, there's no other way for me. I'm just like that type of person. I'm an all-in type of kid.
Yeah.
Actually, this is something else about my art practice that maybe people don't know.
Yeah, give it to us.
So to build a show, it takes a huge amount of resources. So like maybe that's something people are like, oh, but you put on these shows. I'm like, yeah, that takes a full team, you know what I mean, of however many people, and it costs however many monies, you know what I mean? So there's so much that goes into it. I invest so much to be in the position I'm in. It hasn't just happened. It's like I reinvest everything back into my practice. So it's like I still, after 7 years, only just starting to pay myself. Like, it's fucked up. You know what I mean? People would be like, whoa, I thought you made all this money. I was like, I personally don't make a dime, but my business does.
Yeah. That's amazing that that's how you think about it. I feel like there's very few, like you already said, but very few artists that think that way, and very few people that think that way that think like artists.
But yeah, like I see my art practice like a startup. Like I run it like a startup. It's like we work very quickly. Things happen quickly. Things sell quickly, things move quickly, shows happen quickly. If, for example, if I was to work with a museum, they're like, oh, we could do something in 2024. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, what, 4 years from now? Like, what? I don't even know what I'm doing then. So, yeah, like I run like a startup. Like, yeah, I believe that the only reason I'm here is because I haven't taken what I probably should have out for myself, because I don't need much to live off. You know what I mean? It's like we live pretty humbly. But yeah, there's like staff to pay and like rent to pay. And like, I just believe in what I'm building more than I believe in like just buying more expensive snacks. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it is. And so, yeah, it's essentially like just running a business, just running a startup.
When you think about yourself, do you think about yourself as a business person before an artist?
I think so. But I think as an artist, you're not meant to say that. So like whoops. Yeah.
Well, on here it's safe.
Yeah, okay.
You know, on a more business.
Totally.
Nobody will
I
know.
think definitely I enjoy business. And sorry, I love art and I love what I do and I'm good at it. But I enjoy business. I enjoy the strategy. I enjoy like the thought, like the things. You know, I really enjoy that a lot. But yeah, people don't know that about the art. They're like, oh, it's all about the art. And I'm like, it is. The idea has to be good. Nothing else can kind of flow on unless the idea is good. Yeah, but I think it is very business focused. Of
course.
I'm now at a level where it's like insane, but
yeah. Do you have any like sort of like when you do these shows and sit down to conceptualize a new show and all that stuff, do you have anything that you hope people will take
from it?
From your work?
I know because I think that'd be better to ask of people. Like, for example, after people, maybe if they look into what it is that I do, they might like develop their own interpretations of it. I think if you ask me about my work, I'm like, it's a bit.
I feel like it's in there. You just don't want to let it out.
No, I'm not a very emotional. Not a
But you're telling me that when you're
person.
sitting down creating this beautiful art, it's like you're filing your taxes? There's a piece of you that has a goal.
Of course, there's a goal, but I think I'm not a very sentimental person. I think that's the word. So I'm not someone who needs this and that. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I do the thing and I'm like, I like it. I'm
It's
like,
in there,
that's
though.
cute. But I think I'm like, someone explained, tried to explain the type of person that I am. They're like, just like a Zen psycho.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I've got a really clear direction of where I want to go, but I'm just like, and I work my ass off to make it happen. Like, I'll do anything to make it happen. Come hell or high water.
Yeah.
People get fucked up for me to make it happen, but like, got a really level head about it. I'm still like, if people don't like it, fuck it, but I'm just going to fuck people up. You know what I mean? I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah. That's
It's
what
like
I'm
the-
gathering.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think someone explained, I'm a Zen psycho, which I kind of, I get that. Yeah. I'm like, a
That
little
could
bit.
be the
yeah.
concept for a show.
Yeah.
That's so
So I
interesting.
didn't really answer any of your questions there. I'm so sorry.
No, but that's kind of like, once again, you
Yeah.
answered them by not answering them.
Yeah,
I
okay.
just am fascinated by,
But do you know what I'm trying? I'm trying to like, for all the people listening, it's like, how can they do this? You know what I mean? And I find that interesting because I'm like, well, how can I pass on some wisdom? You know, and I don't know exactly because I think if you try and follow in someone's footsteps exactly, it won't work for you. You know what I mean? You've got to find your own thing.
for sure.
And I don't think I haven't had anyone to follow. Like, you know, there's no one that has really done it this way. I'm like, I'm a huge anomaly in the art world. Like all the people are just like, we can't quite figure you out. I'm like, yeah, soz about it.
Does that ever
know?
make you feel like scared, insecure,
No.
nervous? You don't ever you don't ever go to bed and think, man, this whole thing is going to go away
No,
tomorrow.
I don't think I don't spend too much time like worrying about the things because there's so much bullshit to deal with in the day, like the staff and like so much that goes on in the day. There's no point in like sweating the small stuff. I just sweat the big stuff.
What's the
But
big
even
stuff?
then,
Like the
big stuff's the
$100,000 painting that got lost at
yeah,
FedEx?
plus, you know what I mean? And just like things, like we got kicked off Shopify like an hour before the launch of like all the drawings were to go on sale, like kicked off
Why?
Shopify. Long story, we won't get into it, but you know what I mean? Like, what? And so like figuring out like we have 1 hour to get, like that's like I make my entire revenue all happens within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like everything sells online within seconds.
Oh, you do drops like that?
Yeah.
Like how many pieces are in a drop?
It depends. So like
In the
for
last
the
one.
original drawings, they were 25 and they were priced at whatever they were priced at. And so like, yeah, I'll make for the entire year, I'll make every single dollar in like 2 minutes.
And
Yeah.
how does that tie into the show, or does it at all?
We sell everything before the show opens.
And then
so,
does the show relate to what you just sold?
Yeah. So like the drawings that will hang on the wall, like for example, the Bouncing Castle one, the Rorschach show, all the drawings that were on the wall were sold 2 weeks before the show opened. Yeah. Yeah. And then I've just started to kind of release like editioned prints and stuff, which is like great for people who are like wanting to like get involved in my brand without ever being able to get the originals. So that's like an interesting part of my business, which has just started.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I make all my revenue in like minutes.
Is that normal for art?
I don't know, man. Don't think so.
Where'd you come up with that idea? That's very
It's
like
just like
streetwear.
sneaker drops. It's just
Yeah.
like I'm like, yeah, that's just how you buy things. And also it's like that scarcity thing. It's like if things are just available all the time, people don't want it. And so if you just give people like minutes
Yeah.
to buy, you know, like they know that these work, they've known the price for months. Like, you know, they made decisions, I'm sure, months before the thing actually happens. But yeah, there's like only like seconds.
And how do you promote it?
We just have a database now. It started like Instagram, like people will email. If you email, there's literally nothing ever available until like releases happen once a year.
And then how do let's just say I am dying for this one piece.
Okay.
Is it a battle of who clicks it first?
Yes and no. Like there's so many subtleties to how it all works. No, often some pieces will sell to past collectors. So past collectors will get like first, well, whatever. That's one side of it. But yeah, when you get kicked off Shopify, like an hour before like your whole business. That's how everything works.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that happens, and I don't know.
So that's what those are your worries.
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
future. Not.
And so tell me about like how you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, do you go to like Art Basel Miami every
I
year?
do, but not for. I don't.
Not for the
I'm a
art. Don't worry.
fake.
No, that's
I'm
all
one of the
right.
like
You're the dudes.
I'm the dudes
Yeah, you're
that
the
come
dude.
strolling in.
Stroll in
the weekend after
with your Birkin.
with my Birkin and my young and reckless party.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But so that's another thing that's kind of happened is like Miami's just this really fun party time. Like I go every year, not to, I don't even know why I go, to be honest, but like I'll go for like events like art publications like, oh, we're
So
having
you
a
go
dinner.
during the week.
Yeah, but they have like fancy dinners and stuff. Oh, it's weird. It's weird now. I'm not a fancy person, so I'm still like, lol, why am I going? But cool, I'll come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's so
I don't.
funny.
I'm
it's
not
like, it's such an
very.
interesting.
I'm into.
Do you have any artist friends?
Not really.
No. Surely.
Two or three, maybe.
Okay.
But no one's selling art for hundreds of thousands of
Yeah,
dollars. That's
okay.
like a real friend.
Yeah.
I've met a few, but
Yeah.
no. That's
What
why
is
it's so
your
foreign to
impression
me
of
still.
them? Yeah, no, and that's, yeah, it is a foreign concept because people are like, art. It's at the end of the day also, which I find really funny, it's just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
All it is a piece of paper with someone's just spent a lot of time on the piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like my hand's just like been hanging out on the piece of paper a long ass time. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the day, it's just materials.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like,
I get it.
Can't
What were you
explain
going
it.
to say? What was my impression of what?
oh, what's your impression of some of the artists that you have met? Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, I haven't met any like crazy artists. The
Right.
artists that I've met, I have two really good friends who are brothers named Shelby and Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
They're just amazing, happy,
Yeah.
just great guys.
Yeah.
Kind of like you.
Okay,
Like they're
cool.
very happy,
yeah,
outgoing,
yeah.
but they're also very, very smart and like
Yeah.
they're not doing drugs and like rock star
Yeah.
artists,
Like
right?
doing the art. That's what I think artists do.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, oh, they must do all the drugs.
That's kind of what I like. You want them to do, though,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
You
I feel like
you wanna
I'm
act
a
like-
fake. You know how you said like
I
you're a
wouldn't say
fake
you're
in the
fake.
art, but I am. I'm like, I don't do
Yeah.
all the things.
You just want like the same way you want like a rock star to like you want him to wear like a weird mask
Yeah,
and
you
like
want-
be high and like I couldn't even communicate with CJ because she was I
Like,
think on
so-
acid
yeah.
and
Oof.
she just kept talking
Yeah.
to the walls.
I know.
But
It's a
whatever,
lot.
we'll tell those stories after you're long
We can
gone,
make that
right?
up.
That's
Yeah,
what
we can sub that into
Yeah.
this. Yeah, you can tell.
But no, I haven't met any like crazy artists. I don't. For some reason, I just am not in that world.
No, I get
and
it.
I don't buy art really yet.
know-
I'd like to one day.
No, and you know what? You shouldn't unless there's someone or something that you're like, that speaks to me. Like, I've only just started to buy art from artists. Like, we're starting to like buy a lot of art from like, not young kids, but like young artists who like need it. They need the help more than someone like me.
Yeah.
It's like, if anyone's listening, don't buy my art. Fuck that. Go buy like go buy the kids who like need it more, you know?
Yeah.
But if you like my work, cute, but don't stress out about it. Like, don't be not buying the house and buying my work. Like, that's just silly.
Well,
that's
that's-
just
could be a
very,
good
very,
investment.
no. I am not a good investment like that.
could
I'm
be.
a risky investment.
I don't know.
So yeah, like I'm that stock that's like a.
You just said you're going to
either
sign
go-
with a gallery soon. That's
No, but,
inside
like-
information. You're going to be, it's $1 million paintings next
Whoa.
year.
That's
saying, you
yeah.
heard it here first.
Anyway, yeah. So no, I think for kids out there who are like wanting to become artists, I'm like, just make sure your work, like it's all about that at the end of the day, and then all the other things can follow, and you can like do the cool hair and do the cool outfits, and if that's what you want to do, if that's the kind of artist you want to be, you know. But
Yeah.
you've just got to make great work and love it. You've got to want to be in your studio every day.
Yeah.
And I have this beautiful studio in New York. We live in Brooklyn now, and it's gorgeous, and I'm so grateful to be there.
Yeah.
But it's taken so much sacrifice. It's more what I've said no to. I've said no to so much, and like not going out, not doing things just because I want to work and build the thing that I'm building.
Yep.
And that's the only reason I'm here,
Yeah.
because of the things I've said no to, you know? Yeah.
What do you do from here? You sign to a gallery, maybe.
Maybe if I want to.
Like, is it like one day you're doing these massive shows? Is there any ambitions outside of art? Or like, do
Yeah.
you sign, you're such a business mind, do you sign other artists to your thing?
No, that's a good question though. But no, I'm doing other things on the side. Like there's another other things that are happening on the side, like nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
but other things that I'm interested in working on. You know what I mean? Like business related things, which I find very fascinating, like e-commerce stuff. You know, like big progression that could happen with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's hard to say what the progression is for me. I think, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'd need to probably ask someone who like knows more about me. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't answer that because like I'm just going to work my ass off and like make the right decisions for me, and then what will come is what will come. You know, like I can't plan
Yeah.
what will happen.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know what I
great
mean?
attitude. I wish
You
I could have
got
that
it.
attitude.
Oh, please.
I
Yes, you
can't.
do.
No way.
Stop.
I stress every morning,
Do you
every
really?
night. Yeah.
About like what's the number one
Just
top two
making
stresses?
sure everything's like the top 2 stresses I
Yeah.
guess are
Is it?
it's a lack of focus. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I need to stay so focused on every little goal
But you
that's
have
under
great,
me.
You have great people here helping.
Yeah, but I have to
But you've got to
steer
be
the ship,
yeah,
you know?
True. I get that. I get that stress.
So
I
that's all. I
understand.
mean, I don't have major worries, but I do like when I first started doing the podcast for the
Yeah.
first year and a half,
Yeah.
I would obsessively check the download numbers, especially on release days.
Mm-hmm.
Just over and over. And are we trending? Are we going to beat the one last week? Are we this? Are we that? What happened here? I wonder why. Was it because she talked about this or because they talked about whatever? Now I just don't. Danny sends them to me every week.
Yep.
So I can see week over
So you
week
don't-
how we're
okay,
doing.
yeah.
But little things like that where I'm in charge of so many, you know, all of our obviously e-commerce sales and wholesale and everything that
Yeah.
I can sit for hours and hours and hours and try to overanalyze where the numbers are trending and what
okay.
that will mean in 3 years when it's really not, it doesn't work that way.
And can I ask a question? Who would be on the podcast? Because like if I had a podcast, there's like 2 people I would want to like
Yeah.
interview. But like who are people that you're like, I would give my ball sack for?
My ball sack for it.
Yeah.
I think
Who would be the peeps?
Barack Obama.
Stop.
I think so.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Because the reason why,
He'd be
not that I care about
funny.
like the politics of it all, but because of, you know, this show is essentially about people who built their own amazing
Yeah.
life against the odds.
Yeah.
He did that
He did.
on such a massive scale.
yes, you're so
Plus,
right.
I'd love to know
Yeah.
what it's like to, like, I talked about how I stress.
Yeah.
I can't imagine waking
Oh
up
my
in the
God,
morning
yeah.
to like nuclear, like
run the
war
country.
threats.
Like what's all the people doing?
Yeah. Exactly. Like,
You've got 40 people? Like
Yeah.
what are like the billion?
All of the
yeah,
people,
all
yeah.
of the people. That's something else.
so him, I don't know
Yeah.
who would you have?
Okay, I'm going to be really like honestly my number 1 and then I'll give you number 2.
Yep.
Number 1 Kris Jenner. I know like lols.
Really?
Dude, I just want to be like how?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you build that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I don't think you're wrong. I don't
get
think
the-
that's silly.
Honestly, fascinating. Like there's people who fascinate me, but like how?
Yeah.
Literally, and it's all her. She is the genius behind the whole operation.
Yeah.
I don't care. And obviously, like her daughters are like the faces of it, but like, how did you fucking do that? And then the second person, the guy who either wrote or directed The Wire. I consume
Yeah.
so much, like audiobook, podcast, like all the things. The Wire is like the most amazing series ever made of all time ever. And I have watched everything. If people are like, no, you haven't, I'm like, fuck off. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Like I draw for like 15 hours a day. Like I watch the things.
Yeah.
Whoever made The Wire, I don't know your name.
Who wrote The Wire?
Yeah,
I should
actually,
know that.
we need. I know I should know that if I want to. But what? Wow.
I just want listeners. I'm
person.
embarrassed that I don't know.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed that I'm talking about it and I haven't even looked into it. But I'm like him or her. I
because
don't know.
the Wire is like,
It's like
David Simon.
Okay, David, yo, you should try and get him on. Is he still alive? Surely.
Yeah, David Simon and Ed Burns.
Oh my God, them.
They
You
for
need to get
sure
them on.
are.
Like that would be like they created, and this was in the late 90s, early 2000s, like the most incredible series, and there've been lots that have come. Like
Yeah,
him.
it's amazing because I've never heard.
Have you done The Wire? You've watched it. Come on. You haven't. Oh my
I haven't
God.
watched it all the way
Oh my
through.
God, it's all right.
I watched like the first 2 seasons.
Okay, that's fine.
But I've never heard so many people say that a show is the best show of all time as I have The Wire.
And like people are like try and come to me with Sopranos. I'm like, I've watched The Sopranos. I get it.
Yeah, I
like
don't
the
think that's
fucking
close.
Wire.
Yeah.
Like I've watched it so many times. I'm so obsessed. Anyway, so Kris Jenner and The Wire guy.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would love to
Yeah,
listen to
you should
those.
try and get to him. You need to get him on. But you really need to watch The Wire to understand why it's so good.
Yeah, I agree. And
It's
that's
like-
what's sad is
on
I know
another
it's
level.
so good.
No, but
I
you're
just
busy.
fell off.
You're like stressing about things.
I know.
You
I need to
get
start
it.
drawing.
You do.
'Cause
I've
then
got
I'd
so
have
much
more
time.
time, yeah.
I can like zen out and just draw,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
and then I
good.
can think and like chill. So I've got a great job. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how
Yeah.
this goes. Here's my last two questions.
Okay.
You can hop in a time machine.
Uh-huh.
You can travel to any point in your life
Yeah.
and tell yourself anything.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go and what do you say?
So I'd go back to like when I was at high school
Mm-hmm.
to be like a professional like job is not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
And you can do anything if you just work hard enough for it. Literally anything. Yeah.
Do you ever like, okay, this is just a common,
When would you go back to?
oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I would probably go back to when I moved to Los Angeles because I was so like scared.
How many years ago was that? Like
13.
10? Oh, 13. Oh.
Because I was fresh off a like bad head injury.
Yeah.
It seemed so big and scary,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt sort of like you need to know everything now.
Okay.
Like you don't belong here, and
Uh-huh.
you should know everything now. And sort of, I think just a little bit of like, hey man, just
Yeah,
calm
yeah,
it
yeah,
down and like
yeah.
enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Would have saved me a lot of like pointless stress.
Sure.
What I was going to ask is,
No, yeah, sorry.
do you ever feel, because this is a common thing that people talk about, do you ever feel like this is,
Like fucked?
no,
No,
like
sorry.
you can't, it's too good to be true. Or it's too like,
No, it's not too good to be true. It's not because if there's anything I believe in, and only recently I've come to understand what this is. Like if someone had spoken to me years ago, I'm sure they have, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
manifestation and mindset,
Yeah.
I would have been like, fuck off.
Yeah.
It's all hard. Like
Yeah, me
it's just
too.
all hard work. I'm like, it's snake oil.
For sure.
Move away.
yeah,
But like only recently am I like, but why? Like, sometimes I ask myself, I'm like, but why am I here? And other people who've tried haven't done it.
yeah,
Like I never believe that this is too good to be true because I'm like, I was born for this. I was born for this. And like I truly think I'm really good at this and I love it. And I truly believe like I don't know, like everything that I want to get to, I make it happen in my head first.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't be, especially, don't play the female card, CJ, but yeah, like not many females make it too high up in the art world either.
yeah.
And I don't look at my work, and that was something else. I don't look at my work as like, I should be given special treatment because I'm a female, because that's a load of bullshit. Like your work should just be good, male or female, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I truly believe like I'm meant to be here, and like I believe in everything that I do, and like I set myself ridiculously high standard goals and somehow make them happen because I'm like, I've got a very warped sense of reality, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it, you know?
that's so good. No, I agree completely. There's so many stories of people that, at least here we talk a lot about imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And people have this success and they're like, oh, I don't deserve it. And oh, blah, blah, blah. And you just don't strike me as someone that even.
But I also think that's like a false humility. You know how like people, and I hear this a lot, they're like, I'm so lucky. I'm like, fuck off. It's not about that. Like, like I'm not lucky. Lucky is finding a fitty in the surf. Fitty is like in Australia, fitty is a $50 bill. That's like $50 in surf. Or like going to the pokies and winning $100, like winning $100. Like that's luck. Whereas like the position you're in and the position I'm in, there's not one bit of luck came into that. Like I've worked so hard. I've made tactically interesting decisions, not always right, but like, you know what I mean? You learn from that, and not one bit of it's luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
love
I don't
it.
have any bit of imposter syndrome, really.
Do you
It's just
think
fun.
that-
I have fun.
Do you think your passion for swimming early on gave you like the discipline that you have?
Yeah, without a doubt. Because I don't think too many people could sit down and just like solely focus like in a psycho way for so many hours on end and do the one thing. I think that it did
So
help a lot.
important.
But I didn't know that at the time, and I hated it at the time.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I owe it everything to that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one is you can prescribe
Yeah.
anything to the world for 30 days and they all have to do it. What do you make everyone do?
I would just, it sounds so boring and awful, but I would just say to everyone, like, everyone's got more time in the day.
Yeah.
Spend it on something you actually want to do. Like, people are like, I've got no time. I'm like, fuck off, you work 40 hours a week. Like, you work a part-time job. Like, you can do something else. So, like, what would I prescribe? I'd prescribe, like, try and work on something, anything, for 100 hours a week and just see the true possibilities of what can be achieved in that time. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
And, like, that's how I treat every week, and I love it. And where I am now should have taken 10 years, but it's only taken however many, you know? So I'm like, just try and spend 100 hours, like, on your own working on something you want to work on and see what happens. Yeah. I don't know.
There it is. CJ, we did it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for reaching out. I'm really glad. Thanks for coming in so quickly. Thank you for making this happen. You're off to New York tomorrow?
No, Thursday. We've got some more spaces to suss out.
Back to New York.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate it. Stay in touch. Let me know when the LA show is.
Sure.
Let me know anything we can promote here on what we do.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And is there anywhere people should go to, like, follow up, or you don't care, do you?
No, I really don't. Honestly, like, whatevs. Live your life. Like, I'm not going to force it. Like,
we'll put a link in the description.
Sure, if you want. No problems.
Thank you, CJ. You're the best.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Guys, if you like that and you want to see more like it, as well as vlogs, other web series, and all the random stuff that I'm doing here on YouTube, don't forget to click that subscribe button. You won't regret it. I promise.